Professor of Sociology of Education at the University of Reading. Karen Fuller joins us live now. Great to have you on the programme. Welcome to the News Hour.
Thank you.
It's nearly September. Do you think children should be going back to school or not?
I think that's a bit of a difficult question to answer, because obviously from the social dimension and the educational dimension, yes, children should be going back to school. But the flip side of that is that, can we feel confident that we can keep our children safe and support our teachers? I think there's a great deal of anxiety and there's a great deal of mistrust, actually, because what messages that schools, parents and teachers are getting from government change daily, and there's a lot of backtracking and there's a lot of mismessaging, and it doesn't necessarily engender the greatest of confidence. So should children be going back to school it's a good question to ask, and perhaps it's one we should be asking the government to answer more honestly.
And speaking about the government, the UK's chief medical advisor said children are more likely to be harmed by not returning to school next month than if they catch the coronavirus. What do you make of such a bold statement?
I mean, I do see where he's coming from, because there's an assumption, of course, when we think about homeschooling, that all children are having access to the same opportunities, but not all parents are confident educators. And education, I work in the Institute of Education. Teaching is a highly specialised profession, so parents are actually quite limited in how much they can do themselves. And schools, of course, are not just places of learning curricular subjects. They're also places where children learn to interact with each other. For those children who come from perhaps more disadvantaged families, they're a place where you get a hot meal and you have access to a range of different support services. And I guess if we take it another step further, and I'll probably get shot for saying this, but many parents depend on schools to enable them to go to work, and particularly in the UK, childcare is so extortionately expensive, and parents need to work to bring in income. So there are multiple reasons why it's important to get schools open, but that's not to say we should open schools without ensuring that these are safe places to be.
And Carol, what has been the impact on children that have missed now months of school?
Mm-hmm. I think the impact could be quite profound for many children. Some of the parents I speak to and who have children that have been away from school for quite some time now are actually suffering with a great sense of isolation and loneliness. So we can talk about the lost education, but in some cases, all children have lost the same amount of learning, if you like. But the other dimensions that I mentioned, the social dimensions, the social skills that we learn through interacting with each other, I think those lost opportunities are quite profound. I really believe that it's been a significant loss for young children.
And Carol, given what you're saying, that it has been a significant loss for young children, what is your advice to parents that don't want to send their children back to school because they think the risk is just so big and not worth it?
To me, I think that's a really, really, really important question, and not just for parents, actually. I think one of the key people we often forget in all of this conversation is teachers themselves. So we actually talk about schools reopening, but in the UK, at least, schools have remained open and they've been looking after the children of essential workers. And I think not just children and parents needing to feel secure. We need to be secure that our teaching staff are going to be looked after and protected too. And I think that's where we need to look to the government for clear guidance and for clear clarity on what provisions are in place if there's a second wave, for example, or if we have local lockdowns, which is what we're anticipating. How does that work at a local level? And again, what are the implications if a parent says, actually, I don't feel confident and I don't want to send my child to that school? How are we going to deal with something that would ordinarily be penalised with fines, for example? So I think what the government hasn't done yet, in the UK at least, is addressed a lot of the kind of messaging that by not addressing them creates the anxiety and the concern.
Carol, thank you very much. Carol Fuller from the University of Reading. It really is a very tricky subject for students, teachers and parents. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.